Hello and welcome. Thank you for joining me for my knitting video podcast, Jennifer Knatters, where I will knit and natter. And today is the 12th of November. This is my 10th podcast. So thank you for watching and let's get started. I have no finished objects this week. I am not very good at finishing things. I tend to have so many things on the needles. I do not have oodles of time to knit, so things do tend to take me a while. First up, my munlochy socks, which is in the Black Isle nylon-free BFL mohair blend and Black Isle Yarns. And this is a pattern by Clair Devine. And as you can see, I had turned the heel last week. I have finished my gusset decreases. That's where I was last week. So I've just worked a little bit on it. And this yarn continues to be squishy and soft and lovely. I still don't know how well it will wear up, how it will hold up as sock yarn. And this is my first nylon-free pair of socks. So we're giving it a try. It feels lovely and squishy, and even if they just wind up being bed socks, they will be wonderful. The pattern stretches out to this kind of wave pattern. It's a little obscured by the amount of stripiness in the variegated yarn. This is an indigo dye, but they're squishy and warm and lovely. And I very much enjoy working on them because I'm very much looking forward to wearing them. I enjoy knitting as a thing to keep my hands busy. I'm in it for finished objects, but I'm also very much in it for the idea of finished objects. Next up is my walking around socks. As you can see, I haven't much worked on them. That's where I was last time. So I've just done a couple more stripes. I have put in contrast yarn for, contrast is clearly the wrong word. I did put in waste yarn. That'll be I think it's on the other side is where it actually is. I didn't have any contrast yarn with me, so I just pulled a length off the outside of the ball and knit it through. That's where the heel will be. These are for Christina. They're a little big on her, but I mean, if they're just Christmas socks, I hope she'll get some wear out of them and she can wear them over tights to be warmer. One thing I did that I kind of can't believe I've never done before. I've never heard anyone do this, and I'm sure I am not the first person to think of this, but I've never heard anyone say this is how they put in the waste yarn for what is technically called an afterthought heel, although it's more of a forethought afterthought heel. A true afterthought heel would be when you just come back and cut the yarn and unravel it. So a forethought afterthought heel is I knit one stitch with the waste yarn, slipped the stitch back on, and then knit it with my real yarn and worked my way, then knit the next stitch with the waste yarn. So I was basically doing like holding my yarns like it was two-handed color work and then just knitting each stitch twice. So I went straight across. Every previous time I've done it, I would have knit across with the waste yarn, slipped all the stitches back onto the needle, and then knit across with the live yarn. I'm not sure this was any faster, but it did mean I didn't have to slip a whole bunch of stitches. So as far as that goes, I was very happy with the process. Future me is not going to be happy with past me that my waste yarn is the same color as my regular yarn, but that's why I left the strings sticking out on the outside. Normally I would have just tucked them inside as I was knitting, but I need the clue, the hint as where it will be. So these are Christina socks, about halfway there. Need to do a lot of ribbing at the cuff to hold them up because, as I said, they are a little big on her. I probably should have done ribbing the whole way, but I didn't want to cover these stripes. I didn't want to kind of obscure them. And this is West Yorkshire Spinners Halloween Halloween, their Christmas self-striping yarn from last year, which was a candy cane pattern. They do not currently have any in their shop, but I believe there are retailers out there that still have some. I know I've seen the one from the years before, which was Holly, and that one had more of kind of a Fair Isle patterning. But Christina specifically wanted candy cane socks, and I said I know exactly what to do. I'd already started these once and lost the project with, like I'd knit to like there, and I lost the project. I lost the needles, I lost the bag, so I'm down one ball, but fortunately I had ordered 2 balls. So I'm doing the second one. With the other one, I plan on doing green for the toes, heels, and cuffs. Although I might do red toe and cuff and a green heel. I was thinking, and then the other one would be green with the red. I have options. I have colors. I'm not sure I have the green that matches this one. For the contrast toe, I believe this is Cherry Drop. I don't think it's the Cayenne Peppers, the other red one they do, but I believe that's Cherry. So I've got these on the way, and these are just when I'm out and about and need something really simple to work on, chasing Catherine around or waiting for Christina to be done with something. These are my walking around socks. So I haven't done a lot of things that would have me working on them. I think I only worked on them for a little bit on Thursday last week, was the only day I even picked them up. But they're coming along nicely. Do a lot of ribbing at the top to make them snug up on her. And yeah, so that's those ones underway. I'm just going to put them over here. The other thing I have cast on for her is a pair of, these will be leggings. It's a sparkly acrylic yarn that's really soft from Deep Stash. They won't be the warmest in the world, but she does like wearing leggings or tights with what in the US we'd call a jumper dress, which is not like this kind of jumper. It's a pinafore. In the UK it would be a pinafore dress. In the US it would be a jumper dress. So when a British person tells an American they're wearing a jumper, they're usually thinking of the pinafore style dress, just as an FYI on that one. So I'm making these. It's a 2x2 rib. I did a tubular cast on, mostly just to practice. It took me like 3 tries to get it. I thought I remembered from my Fair Isle vest that I'm working on. I hadn't. I had to look it up again and redo it. The black yarn does not make it easy, and it's probably stellene, I think, is what that kind of plastic thing, but the shimmer, if you can see, come on, focus on the yarn. I think you can kind of see it separates from the yarn. It's kind of just wrapped around it, so I keep snagging on it and I don't always get it in with my stitches. So black yarn, splitty yarn. This is not a project that's filling me with love and joy, but Christina will really like these. And focus on the yarn. There we go. So Christina will really like these. I'm making them super stretchy, so they'll hopefully last her a fair amount of time, and they can just warm her up a little bit. Part of the problem is I can't even dress her super warm for going to school, because then once they're at school, they keep it really warm. So if I'm doing, like for myself, I would put tights under trousers, tights and leggings under trousers on a particularly cold day, but she can't take off all of those layers. I can probably get her like snow trousers or something that she could wear to school to keep her warm, but I figured leggings she can pull on and off really easily, have a little extra warmth without then overheating when she's in her classroom. And my other one that I have on the needles is the Woolly Wormhead Mistering Hat. So if you're knitting along or plan to knit along and you don't want to see it, just glance away. I won't say too much about what it is. I'll try not to audibly spoil it, but the second clue came out for that one. So the first one is the brim, and now we've got the stitch pattern for the hat. They always look a bit funky when they're on the needles, but it pulls down really nice over the ears. Someone pointed out we don't actually know how it will be officially modeled, because I posted a picture of me wearing the hat like this, and someone was like, oh, I wonder if that's how it'll officially be modeled. And I was kind of like, well, my hat, so if I want, I can wear it the wrong way and it'll be the right way because it's my hat. And this is a really nice stitch pattern. It's a little bit fiddly. The first stitch of that is fairly easy to do. The second stitch is a little trickier, but I've just been working it out. I kind of feel like if you did a long stitch in the middle, it would look like cannabis leaves. Probably just me. I don't smoke, I should mention. I've got asthma and all sorts, and I've never actually done any illicit drugs, but I do think it looks like 2/3 of a cannabis leaf. I will probably need to make it a little deeper. My yarn is in smaller balls, and I reached the end of one, and I kind of decided that I will wait until the next pattern come out, which will be the crown. And Ms. Wormhead has indicated that the crown will be very short. It'll just kind of pull it together without adding any length. So at that point, I can decide how much more length I want to add, and do the top, and it shouldn't take too long to do. I really like the way the stitch pattern, the texture is coming out, and this is wonderfully soft yarn. I mean, it is so, I knit something with it a number of years ago in a blue colorway. This was someone else destashed their yarn, so I inherited this, but the blue I had bought, and I believe I described it at the time as like knitting with kitten paws, fluffy clouds of kitten paws. It does tend to pill a lot, but as a hat that won't be, I mean, hats don't get a lot of rubbing. This pattern would work really well with a tonal or even a slightly variegated yarn, because those stitches would just pull the yarn out in interesting ways. So I'm very happy with how this is going, and I'm looking forward to having my nice, this color is emerald, but I think of it more as like a petrol, my nice hat. I do have lots more of this yarn, but it was just already up in a couple different balls. I believe the person who destashed it had started a project and then frogged it, and so they were in different balls, and I will just, I mean, this is really soft. I'll be able to just bit splice that together and keep going as if it was the same bit of yarn. And that brings me to my last whip that I've been working on, and this one's a bit of a crier. So last time I was here and I've knit up, I finished that repeat of the pattern and then finished the next one of these little heart patterns. This is my Bruntsfield vest by Ysolda Teague and Jamieson Smith yarns. Most of them are their Shetland 2-ply. The gray is Shetland Supreme, I think. It's one of their natural colors. Yes, Shetland Supreme jumper weight. Excuse me, I'm just going to cough. Sorry about that. This isn't even the same cold I had the last two videos. I feel like I got over that one, and this is a fun, new, exciting cold. But anyway, I knit it to there, and I was looking at, I know I said that the pattern calls for 5 of these and then 1 more of these. So I've done 4, and I did this, and I was looking at it, and I was thinking it looked pretty long, and I was measuring it, and I was getting close to 15 inches, even with not having finished this section. And I thought, and I checked the schematic, and it's supposed to be about 15¼ inches where you start dividing for the armholes and the neckline. And I thought that can't be right. My gauge would have to be off by a fair bit. So I measured it unblocked, and I was 8 stitches off what I thought I was going to be getting for row gauge. So I finished this pattern and put it on, you can see it's on a really long cable. I've got my little, these are my Knit Pros knit picks in the US. Put it on really long cables and a little join in the middle. And I soaked it and I laid it flat to dry and I measured it, and I'm not quite 8 stitches off. I picked up, it stretched out wider and lost a little vertical height. So I do think I'll do one more, rather than do one more of these and another heart one, I'll do one more X's and O's and then start for the Aran, start dividing. The problem is, having lost the vertical height, I gained some width and it is enormous, and I'm fat, so I need a lot of material to go around me. But I had like 6 inches of positive ease, and I even thought about making it a skirt and then going down a needle size just to bring it in, and then going down another needle size to bring it in more, and doing a waistband and making like a knee length Fair Isle skirt. But what I've decided to do is just fold in a pleat here. So I've taken out one repeat and I've started the mattress stitching. So here you can see there's another repeat, and then it just folds together. So I'm sewing it together right through the middle. There would be kind of a jog here anywhere where the two, because they're spirals, not rows, where you switch from doing one row to the other row. And there's, like, it just looks a little off in the middle of that anyway. So that's now inside. So I'm seaming it up, and this is something I can take out if I don't like it. And then this way, it winds up being a little large, but not enormously large. It'll just be like 2 inches of positive ease rather than 6 inches of positive ease. And that means like I just do one less repeat going round and round, which means it'll be a tiny bit faster because it's a tiny bit less knitting. And then I'll just need to recalculate slightly for the front and the back, which I don't think will be a problem anyway, because there's a lot of front to get up. So if I'm doing extra rows, like more than the pattern calls for, I am significantly bustier than the designer. So yeah, I'm taking one pleat out, and then I figure I'll just do a bit of like the what you do between where you're going to steek it, where you do just a couple rows, so that when I'm done I can cut it and make them flat, and it'll keep going. Like, it won't just abruptly stop in a weird place. It'll go up to the armhole. So basically I'm just going to start the armhole a lot earlier. That's how that is largely going to work out. So I've got a seam. It'll be slightly bulky with a little bit of positive ease. I don't think, like, it won't stand out as a bulge on the side. It will be slightly more noticeable than just the color jog would have been, but there's no way I'm ripping this all out and starting over. But it is absolutely gorgeous, and I'm otherwise delighted with this project. But that one kind of, when I realized that my rows was going to be way off, I kind of lost a little mojo for working on it for a bit, and then I thought I need to finish it so I can block it, so I can see, and so now I need to make that adjustment. These goes under lies. Knitters tell themselves. I completely should have realized it was going to be too big. I should have checked my gauge earlier. I was using a little vest that I'd knit for Catherine as my gauge swatch, and clearly when it got bigger, things changed. I just need to cough again, so I'm going to pause the video. Sorry about that. This cold is absolutely kicking my butt. It actually, I got up and I got some juice and a cough lozenge, so I will hopefully not have any more big coughing fits. I kind of lost the thread of what I was saying. I believe I was pretty much done talking about the Bruntsfield vest, so I will move on to acquisitions this week. And I will start with yarn acquisitions. I got these two 50-gram skeins of Something New to Knit With Aran, and that's by Arnold Colford Knitwear. And this is 70% Highland wool, 30% superfine alpaca, and it's 82 meters for the 50 grams. These colors are lovely. It's very soft, smooshy yarn. And I bought them for this last week's pattern release for their Something New to Knit helical stripes, helical patterning. And I knew there was a mitten pattern coming out that called for 2 skeins of yarn, and if I looked at the name of the pattern, if you know anything about me, I am not good with attention to detail. I would have realized it was basically the same, the first cowl that came out, which was just 2 stripes, and they had it in a light blue and then this silver. So they were really subtle stripes. Libby has come to say hello. And so the mittens are just the stripes, and then it's, working increases and decreases within the patterning and within just, while doing your 2 colors at the same time. Because knitting, as I mentioned with my Bruntsfield vest, you're not knitting rows, you're knitting spirals. So it's doing 2 spirals at the same time, which is called helical knitting helixes. And my colors are higher contrast, but they're not quite, I wanted something bolder, something more to knit. So I was looking at using these for a colorwork knitting mittens instead, or maybe mosaic knitting mittens. And I haven't quite decided what I will do with that yet. I need to finish at least 1 or 2 other things before I start. I really want to start all the things right now. I have so many things where I'm like, oh, I have the yarn for that. Or I have this yarn, I should swatch and find a pattern. There are so many things I want to start on right now, but I'm trying to keep myself to kind of just what I have. And excuse me, I just need to cough again. Sorry about that. I didn't even scare Libby away. Normally, if you cough or sneeze suddenly, the cats are gone. But I got this, and it's lovely and smooshy. The sad thing for me is the other pattern that came out was a cable cowl, where you do 1 stripe as, you do the same color, but you do it with 2 balls to make the 2 yarns go. So if I bought 2 of the same color, I could have knit that one, and it looks really interesting. It's a kind of a snug cowl with a cable design, but I do have other yarns, 100-gram weights of yarn, where I can split them in half and then knit it. But it looks really nice, and that one I would have cast on immediately, despite all the other projects as well. Do you want to come over and she does not want to come over and say hello. So the other thing I ordered from their shop at the same time is Firmament by Hunter Hammersen. And this is a book, if you're not familiar with Hunter Hammersen, Violently Domestic is her username. She does amazing things with beautiful yarns and very inventive patterns. And this is one of hats, and some of them are DK weight and some of them are 4-play. And there's also a little stitch dictionary, and she explains the charts and how to read them, how to do the different stitches. She explains if you're getting, what gauge you're getting, what size you should knit. So for the same size head, depending on how many stitches per inch, this is the size you'll get, this is how many stitches you cast on. Is your hat long enough? There is so much detail. She self-publishes her own books, and they are wonderful And this one even comes with a little stitch dictionary. So there's the hats, just got pictures of the crowns. And then she has a little stitch dictionary at the end with other stitches that you can do to make the patterns. And then if you buy from her, you get, I've already used it, I'm just covering it so that no one else is trying to use one that's already been used. There's a ruler on the side in inches, and there's a download code for the ebook, and there's a little ad for her other books. I have them all, but mostly in digital downloads because she is in America. You know, the books are around $20 each. The shipping is around $15 to have them sent to the UK. So I've mostly been buying her books as digital downloads, but now that I know I can get them from people like the Arnold Cullenfords, and they still come with that digital download, because you can get them off Amazon, but the Amazon ones don't have the download. But if the ones from your local yarn shops, even your online local yarn shops do, then that is a really good thing for me, because they are just such beautiful books. They are very well made. Miss Hammersen is definitely a person who cares about nice details, and it shows. And her next book, which is Curls 3, Curls 1 and 2 I believe were shown on the inside. Yep, Curls 1 and 2. And they are asymmetrical shawls that just tend to spiral. And again, she explains the concept of the stitch patterning and how you can kind of plug and play your own stitch patterns in. The next one is going to be things to do with speckled or gradient yarns or mini packs. And that one comes out in just a few weeks. I believe the pre-order is opening up maybe next week, this weekend. But it's nice to know that I can just wait a little longer and get it without having to pay extortionate shipping. So that's what I got in knitting. My other new stash acquisition, and this is going to get a little personal, is from Cheeky Wipes, and I got a new pack, a rainbow pack of their zero twist cotton bamboo. These aren't the bamboo ones. I do have bamboo ones. Zero twist cotton wipes, which you can use for hands, faces, or bottoms. For me, these are for bottoms. I have other ones that we do keep for hands and faces. There's mink ones and kind of velour ones that are better for faces. These are for me, especially when menstruating. They're absolutely wonderful. I bought a set. This is one of their newer fabrics, and I bought a set I think about a year ago. They're not quite as soft, but they're still very plump. Lots of good texture there, very absorbent. I've already used some of these, so that's why they're looking a bit messy. And I had grabbed one of the ones, which is one of their older fabrics that I've had for about 4 years. I didn't get them right away with Christina, and they're just getting a bit threadbare. So I bought some new ones, and I'm very excited. And the new thing is these makeup remover pads. They had larger ones, which I bought, and I thought they were going to be more like these. And I tried them out, and I wasn't 100% pleased because I really wanted something small that's basically just layers of cotton together. And these ones say specifically that they're for like removing eye makeup. I want them for doing toner, wash, tone, cleanse. So reusable cotton pads for toner. I've used a few of them, and they are exactly what I wanted. They're the right size. They're wonderfully soft. They work really well for doing toner. About the only thing I would use disposable cotton pads for now is nail polish remover. Almost everything else, I can use my reusable wipes and then I feel better. I'm not sure how many times I have to reuse these for it to be better for the environment than using disposable ones, but I will use them and they will be wonderful and I don't have to keep buying disposable ones. So that's my cheeky wipe stuff. I did get a few other things, but those are the ones I wanted to talk about. And the other thing, and this is also partially going to move us into my week in review, what family is up is I used to work for the Body Shop. I believe I did one episode where my first episode where I talked about what makeup I wear was before my final shift at the Body Shop. And I'm sorry, I just need to have a little cough again. I'll be right back. I'm terribly sorry about this. So this last acquisition, sorry, I'm back. This last acquisition will kind of segue me to what I've been up to this last week. And that is on Friday, the Body Shop, the store where I used to work, had their friends and family night, which was an invitation only night where friends and family could have 40% off everything in the store, 25% off any gift boxes, prepackaged gift, which is absolutely the best discount a non-employee will get ever, really. So I said to my husband, you know, I'd like to go to this and get stuff. And he was like, of course you need to do that. So he watched Catherine. Christina decided she wanted to come with me as a girls' night. So we went to McDonald's and got her food, and then she basically just sat at a table and ate her Happy Meal while I bought all the things on my list. I didn't even go off my list. But I just wanted to say their packaging this year, they've rolled out these jute bags. This one is full of the hemp hand cream and body cream and woven out of hemp. And I just thought that was a nice packaging thing. And so it's the hemp hand cream and the body butter. I use this for my hands. I use this for Catherine and Christina. They both have dry skin and get eczema. The lip balm, I am very sensitive to lip balms. They tend to trigger asthma attacks for me. Like as they wear off and you wind up eating some of them, I get asthma attacks. But the other thing the hemp is really good for is when you have a snotty nose. I have one I keep that's just so I don't get chapped nose. So these are ones I was almost out of. And then the other things I bought were largely things that you can't normally get on a discount at all. Things, the company calls them golden rules, which are just things that are exempt from all offers. So I bought that. But I also got from their new makeup range, the Christmas seasonal makeup, a liquid eyeliner, which I thought I got, but I think Libby is sat on it right now because she's kind of where I had it. But I can show you, I've got you can do it all over the lid, or I've just got it kind of on the edges. It looked a little better before I was coughing so much and had to wipe my eyes. This color is called bronze, copper bronze, but it comes out purple, so I had to get it. It goes on really nice. It stays really nice. I'm very happy with it. So that's that. And yeah, Christina and I went and been trying to do more stuff with Christina where she gets just one-on-one with me. I know she's a bit jealous that she goes to school all day and Catherine gets to do fun things with Mom. And I'm like, but you did fun. Like, she had to wait till you went to school. You were doing fun things with me. You know, from the time she was 6 months old, we enrolled in 3 classes a week. We were doing stuff. And right up until she started nursery and wasn't interested in doing the other stuff so much, we were doing stuff together, just her and me. Catherine didn't get that until she was 18 months. And that logic does not really help when you're 5, when you're going on 6. So I've been trying to do more stuff where Chris can watch Catherine and Christina and I can go do something so she feels like she's getting mommy time. And she wanted to go with me to that, so I said, okay, you can come. I've got a list. It's not like if she was whinging about wanting to go, I wasn't planning on staying and hanging out much. It was nice because I did see a bunch of former employees, people who, like myself, for whatever reason, no longer work there. And we were all like, hey! So if you leave the body shop, you still like the products, you still come back for parties if you're invited. So Christina and I went, and it was nice, and there was like candy goodies as well as there was a lot of free gifts with purchase and various other things. They're handing out bubbly and chocolates and stuff, so she got to have some candy and hang out with me and do something together, just us. And then on Saturday we had another just the two of us day or afternoon. Chris and I are really poorly. Christina wound up being a bit under the weather Saturday night and was fine when she woke up Sunday. Like Saturday night she was like, oh, I can't breathe. And I'm like, yeah, you've got the same cold we do. We're very sorry. But she woke up Sunday and, you know, she occasionally sneezes and needs hankies, but other than that, she is just fine. Chris and I are like, it's not fair. Why does she have such an amazing immune system and we don't? But she does, so she's very lucky in that regard. But we went out Saturday afternoon. Chris took Catherine for a push to get her to go in the pram, not just like shoving her around. Chris took her for a push in the pram and took Catherine for a push in the pram. And Christina and I went to the retail park. We went to, there's a soft play there, but Christina found that a lot of the boys, and it was specifically boys she kept having trouble with, they were just being rowdy. They'd, you know, yell at her that she wasn't allowed to play with part of the climbing thing because they were playing with it, or they were pushy and she wasn't having a ton of fun. So we only stayed for an hour. She did say she was sorry that Catherine wasn't there. She would have had more fun if Catherine was there. And I was like, well, if we waited for her to take her nap, we never would have gone. She needed the nap. As it is, Chris said she'd just waken up when we were on our way home. Sorry, I'm trying not to cough. I'm just going to stop this again for a moment. Sorry about that. If you can't tell, I am not enjoying this cold. Chris said that Catherine only just woke up while we were waiting for our taxi to get us and bring us home. I texted him we were on our way. So we would not have made it if we had waited for Catherine to wake up from her nap. So after Play Zone, we went to Dunelm, which is kind of like Bed Bath & Beyond, but not quite as upscale. A bit more, I don't know, it feels very more discounty, but things are still plenty expensive there. We went to Dunelm to get bedding for Christina because Catherine, oh, here comes Chris. Sorry again. Chris came in just as I was starting that one. So I need to kind of wrap this up and go get Christina now. Catherine's awake. She just sat over there. So that's why I was looking that way. So I was saying Catherine hasn't been sleeping well this last couple weeks. She's been having trouble going to bed, not wanting to settle. There's one night she woke up in the middle of the night and cried for a fair amount of time. Or maybe it was Christina who cried. Catherine woke up and was nursing, and Christina cried because she wanted to come to me for a cuddle, but I had the baby. So Christina has not been sleeping well. She's been very tired, very grouchy. So we said it was time for her to sleep in a big girl bed. It's not a punishment, it's just she needs more sleep than she was able to get sleeping in the same room. Catherine's now singing. In the same room with me and Catherine. So we went to Dunelm and she picked out bedding. She got a duvet cover and a fitted sheet and a pillowcase and a little throw pillow. And they're all cat themed. I was hoping she wasn't going to say Trolls, which is her favorite movie right now. Because her favorites tend to be her favorites for a very short period of time, and then she's kind of like, not interested in that anymore. But she wanted cat stuff. So she's got a very nice duvet and everything. We got it all set up for her, made her bed. Chris took her to bed that night while I put Catherine to bed. Chris now can put Christina to bed, and he said they didn't even make it into her story very far. He was reading and she was just out like a light. And then she did wake up in the middle of the night, and I told her she could come join me in the big bed. I don't mind her sleeping with me. I don't mind her waking up in the middle of the night and sleeping with me. The problem was she wasn't able to get to sleep. And even just with 2 nights of sleeping in her own bed, going to bed in her own bed, and then moving to my bed in the middle of the night, she is so much more chipper this morning. So much more together. So that's working out really well. She even got up today and got herself dressed, although she started off by wearing just everyday clothes, and then Chris remembered it was a school day, and so she changed into school uniform. So she got herself dressed twice today, which is something she used to do. And then she was like, no, I hate my uniform, I'm not getting dressed. So she was making me do it. But now she did it. I'm so proud of her. And I told Chris, if she makes it every day this week, then I will buy her a really nice toy at the end of the week. I am more than happy to bribe my children for good behavior. So, excuse me. Didn't stop the video that time. Let me just consult my notes. Catherine stole my notes and scribbled all over them, and that cough is going to become more cough. So I'm going to call this the end. Thank you so much. I hope to talk to you next week. Have a good day.